and today I'm doing a quick review of the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. Now this I realized, and you'll see in a second, I filmed a first impressions kind of talk through as I applied it for the first time, which I'll show you in just a second, and I realized it's way too dark for me. I have it in the shade 103 Natural Buff, but the one underneath it was way too light, so either I'm gonna have to buy the other one and mix them, or try and return it and get the lighter and then use a bronzer to make it work. So I wish they had maybe a little wider of a color range for the fair skin half, and I'm not even sure about the darker. They'd probably need a wider range across the board. Regardless, that was the one thing I noticed, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I applied it. I did it 2 different ways on each side of my face to show you how it applies with a brush and then also just with my hands. So let's go ahead and watch. So I'm really sick, so I've got a lot of I just feel like a lot of pressure, just tons of discoloration, and just not feeling very well today. So this is really going to be put to the test because my eyes are like I'm tired, and my nose is a little redder than it normally is because I'm sick and I'm blowing my nose. So for all of those reasons, this is really going to have to work overtime, so we're going to really see. Now, what I've already done is I've already put my serum on and my SPF moisturizer, and I'm kind of letting that sink in. And then on half of my face over here, I'm going to apply it with my hands, and the other half I'm going to apply it with my favorite foundation brush, just to see how it applies in 2 different settings. Now, I got mine in the shade 103 Buff, Natural Buff. So I'm almost positive this is darker than my skin tone, but the other one seemed way too light. So I might have to mix 2 different colors, but for now I just want to see what it's like, not necessarily color-wise, but what it's like texture-wise and wear-wise. So I've got some here. I'm going to apply it just to this. Oh yeah, it's way too dark. Oh my gosh. Just to this side of my face, and we're going to blend it in. Oh my gosh. You guys. What? Oh my gosh. This is like Oompa Loompa status. Whoa. Trying to kind of get it. It seems to blend really kind of seamlessly with your hand. Aside from the fact that it's so dark for my skin. But you can already tell that a lot of that discoloration, even under my eye, has gone. Now it's not perfect, and of course I'm going to use a concealer as well, but I always have hyperpigmentation here, and that is gone. And it doesn't feel sticky. Already it doesn't feel sticky. So honestly, I like the way it applied with my hand. Let's try it with the brush. So I'm still going to kind of dot it everywhere, and then I'm going to blend it with the brush. The texture of this seems to be pretty, not liquidy, but it's certainly creamy. It's not like a thick consistency, that's for sure. Oh my gosh, this color is so bad on me. This is going to look really orange on you, even if this were your skin tone. I don't know. Now, this did not blend as evenly as this did with my hand. Now, I don't think I put as much on. Let's get a little more. Yeah, I don't know that ugh, it's so dark. So it's already been, 30 seconds to a minute. It doesn't feel sticky at all. It kind of doesn't feel like I'm wearing anything. Like I said, the texture is really kind of creamy. It's very, very creamy. See, now you can see how dark it is compared to my skin tone. But you can see that it's really, really a creamy consistency, but it's not super liquidy like some of the newer ones that have come out are. But it's also not super thick like the Revlon Whipped that I like, but it is thicker. Or like the Tarte Moussey foundation. It's not like that either. It's kind of right in between. Now this foundation claims to be a demi-matte, meaning that it's just somewhat matte but not completely, which is ideal for me. That's kind of more of like a satin, and I feel like I would say it is a demi-matte. You can still see a little bit of my natural shine coming through, but kind of in a nice way. Like, I'm kind of loving this. This might be the only foundation I've ever tried that I loved this much just upon first application. I have glitter all over from what I was wearing yesterday. That's funny. I really like it, and it did a good job too of covering some redness I had on my nose. Now I could pile more on, but I think for everyday wear this almost feels like a BB cream, but it has a lot higher coverage. It claims to have medium coverage, and I would agree. I would almost say medium to high because I think it did a pretty darn good job. And once I get concealer on and my eyebrows look normal and I just start to look more like myself, I really feel like this is going to be amazing. So here I am now about 6 hours later, and I've noticed that it is a little bit greasier here, which that might have been because I also used the setting spray, the Infallible setting spray, and I'll have a review to that as well. If it's already up, I'll post the link below. And that added a little bit of dewiness, so I'm not sure if it was because of that or not, but it seems to be kind of staying together really nicely. Now, all I would have to do to get rid of that would be just to powder it a little bit, and I don't mind doing that. And I also don't mind the natural oils coming out just a little bit because I think it makes you look a lot more lifelike and a lot more glowy and not quite so powdered and caked up, you know? So I don't mind that. This is marketed as a demi-matte foundation, so you know, it is supposed to have a little bit of life in it and not just completely matte, which is what I like, more of a satin finish. The price of this is $12.99, which is pretty expensive for a drugstore foundation. However, there are always sales going on, buy one, get one half off sales. So if you were wanting to get maybe both of these, you could get one for half off, and coupons and things like that. So keep your eyes peeled if you're interested. Packaging wise, I love that it's so thin. It'd be great to travel with, which is always on my mind. And I love that it's a squeezy tube because it's kind of easier to keep clean if you just wipe it off each time you use it. And it's not exposed to the air and the elements each time you use it. One of my favorite foundations is the Revlon Color Stay Whipped, and that is just an open jar. So every time you use it, you're dipping your finger into it, and it's really not the most sanitary packaging. So I do appreciate that in this. I love that you don't have to worry about the glass jars where you have to shake it into your hand. This really is great. The only way it could be better is if there were a pump, but I do like this packaging. The texture, as I touched on, is a very creamy formula. It's not super liquidy, but it's also not super thick. It's kind of right in between. The coverage is marketed as a medium coverage. I would say it's a medium to full because you really can layer it on and make it look really nice. But what I like about it is that as you layer it on, it doesn't get cakier. I was really amazed by that. And when I get the right shade of this, I think I will end up reaching for this a lot because it's exactly what I look for in a finish. I think I prefer to apply this with my fingers over a brush. I noticed that it was a little more flawless coverage. Another way you could apply it is with a beauty blender. However, I've kind of moved away from my beauty blender for a while because I've noticed that it really does shear out the coverage for me, and I don't always love that. So for right now, I think I'm gonna continue using my hands to apply this versus the brush. The wear time on this, I would say, is pretty darn good. I would say it would last all day. I don't think you need to reapply. I mean, I don't know anyone that reapplies their foundation anyway, but I think that it does a really great job. I did not use a primer underneath it. The wear time would be even better if I did, but I really wanted to see how it would work just on my skin as it is with just a moisturizer underneath. So I was impressed with how well it wore. It didn't break up or anything weird. It didn't oxidize. I mean, I am super impressed with this foundation. How it felt on my skin throughout the day, it feels like there's nothing on my skin. It doesn't feel sticky. It doesn't feel like oily. It doesn't feel dry. I mean, it just feels like there's nothing on my skin. It's kind of amazing. I'm really, really impressed. This is the first drugstore foundation in a very long time that I have felt gushy over, that even though it's not even the right color, although on camera it doesn't look as bad, but even though it's not the right color, I'm still gushing over it because it is such an amazing formula. Overall, would I recommend it? Absolutely. Even though it's more expensive, it's still way cheaper than high-end products, and it really does give you that high-end feel. I mean, it feels like air, it looks satiny and beautiful, it lasts all day. So yes, I would recommend it. Run out. If you can swatch it before you buy it, try, but I know in drugstore you really can't, unless they are awesome and they have them out for you to try. So that is the one downside, but if you're fair like me, 103 is way too dark, so get one of the other two, just so you know. Hopefully that review was helpful for you guys. If you're interested in more drugstore foundation reviews and other drugstore reviews, stay tuned and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye. Gorgeous that is. I mean, that is beautiful. The only downside is it does have a little bit of glitter, but these are minty, they're nice, and I already own it. I think I'm just gonna keep it. This, however, this is an LA Colors Chunky Lip Pencil in the shade, well, I don't know. Where's the shade name? Wine. And I've only swatched it. It's a very sheer, and I think this is, I mean, this is the way it's supposed to be. I think they're made to be that way. It's